Hello. The memory of things gone is important to a jazz musician. Things like old folks singing in the backyard on a hot summer night, and things said long ago. This is something Armstrong said about playing jazz music. Louis Armstrong was a tremendous trumpet player, and he knew jazz music better than anybody. He always had a smile a mile wide, and this was in part because he played music. I've played trombone for 6 years, and it's helped me through some tough times, so hopefully it can help you too. Not a lot of people know how to hold a trombone, so let's start with that, and how to put it together. You've got 3 parts of a trombone, so you take your first part, which is the slide, your second part, which is the mouthpiece, and your third part, which is the actual horn. There's a protrusion on the left side, and that's where you slide in the horn. Make sure it's at a 90-degree angle. Rotate it into place. And with the mouthpiece, you also want to rotate the mouthpiece into place so that it stays. And to unassemble it, it's the same way. But before I do that, the way you hold the trombone is pretty simple. You take your hand in a finger motion, or like you're pointing at somebody. You hold the trombone just like that, and so the slide doesn't lock out and slide away, you use your pinky to hold it in place. And to take it apart, it's pretty simple. Just do the reverse of what you did to assemble it, and put it back into its case. I won't be playing for you today because I've just got to tell you the basics of an instrument, and I only need the mouthpiece to do that. So, back to it. The 3 things you need to know about playing an instrument are, first, the basics, which I just taught you, and will continue to teach you. The next thing is the context of the performance, which, again, I'll get to. And the third thing is the feeling behind playing an instrument. Okay. So, after you set up your instrument, the next thing you need to know is how to make a noise on it. And to do that, you just put your lips together and make a noise. You want your jaw to be as low as possible so that you can get a deep growl on the mouthpiece. And if you can do that, the rest of it comes pretty easily. For this reason, it is interesting and important to find out what the normal frequencies are. This is said by a Stanford physicist. So, what that means is that you need to make a proper pitch on the horn. And you do that through practice by making that noise. Context is the next part of playing an instrument. Context can be said simply as where you are and what the performance is. Sometimes you'll perform at a wedding, and for a wedding, it's pretty noisy and pretty boisterous. So for a wedding, would you play loud and upbeat, or would you play quiet and downbeat? You'd play loud, because everybody's having a happy time. For a funeral, would you play upbeat or would you play downbeat? Would you play quiet or would you play loud? Most likely you would play quiet and downbeat for a funeral to set the tone. And then finally, in a concert hall, how would you play? Would you play loud, would you play soft, would you play upbeat, or would you play downbeat? This, in a concert hall, is up to your conductor. So by paying attention to context and by listening to your conductor, you can find out how you should play based on the context. Feeling is the hardest thing to master on an instrument. Duke Ellington and Armstrong were both master jazz musicians. And then Duke said once, "It's the way you play it. Play like you play like you think, and then you've got it, if you're going to get it. And whatever you get, that's you, and that's your story. He was the master of feeling, especially jazz musicians from our past had the feeling behind their music. This is the last thing and the hardest thing to master on an instrument. And the only way you can master it is through practice. Not everybody can practice and get as good as somebody like Louis Armstrong, but you can get close if you keep trying. Armstrong also said, "My whole life, my whole soul, my whole spirit is to blow that arm." Again, I'll say, maybe you can't get as good as he did, but you can get close. So you know the basics of playing the instrument. Assembly, you know the next is the context of your performance, and the final thing is the feeling behind the performance. And you've taken the knowledge from these jazz musicians and now can apply it to your own playing. And the final word of wisdom is, play with your whole soul or don't play at all.